So I posted a video the other day. The name of the live stream was "Do White People Suck?" It was just kind of a joke, like just clickbait, just posting something that people would think like, "Huh, I wonder what this is about." And damn, dude, got 3 thumbs down. That's rough. That hurts my feelings. Okay, so somebody posted or they commented and said, "It's okay to be white." Now, like, "It's okay to be white" is kind of like it's like a an alt righty dog whistly sort of thing. So yeah, he says it's okay to be white. I said, but how do you know? Just screwing with him. It's like a dog whistly thing to say it's okay to be white. So he says, "Know what?" And it's pretty like obvious this guy's not very smart when I say, "How do you know?" And he says, "Know what?" Like, what do you mean, know what? You just asked a question, or you just said something, and I said, "How do you know?" Like, obviously, I'm talking about what you just said. So I said, "How do you know it's okay to be white?" He said, "What's wrong with it? You're making the claim." It. I don't know what claim he thinks I've made. I have made absolutely no claims. I haven't made any claims. There's no claims there. I asked questions. That's it. There's that. I haven't made a single claim. Damn, dude, my stream is really blurry. What? So I said, what claim do you think I'm making? The stream name was "Do White People Suck?" That's a question. You made the claim it's okay to be white. I'm asking how you know it's okay to be white. He said, "It's a art-hard question. Stop playing word games. Do you hate yourself for being white?" I don't know what word games he thinks I'm playing, but I'm literally like asking these most simplistic questions you could possibly imagine. And he's saying I'm playing word games. He's saying it's okay to be white. I'm saying, how do you know? Like, that's it. How do you know it's okay to be white? You're making a claim it's okay to be white. I'd assume you've thought about this before. I'd assume you have actually figured out that it is okay to be white and why it's okay to be white. So explain to me why it's okay to be white. Not not too difficult, right? I'm not asking a lot here. At least I don't think so. But you know. Uh, so he says, I said, "I'm not playing word games. You are. You made the claim and refused to explain it." "No, I don't hate myself for being white, but I could be wrong for that." "How do I know I'm not wrong? How do I know it's okay to be white?" That's all I want to know. I just want him to tell me. How does he know it's okay to be white? He said, "More word games to confuse." Like, somebody please tell me what word games I'm playing. Like, anybody in the chat, tell me what word games am I playing. If I'm playing word games, let me know. I'm not seeing it. I don't know what word games I'm playing. But anyways, he said, "More word games to confuse and could be wrong about hating yourself. Do you read what you type? You people are the problem." I love this freaking guy. He's not smart. Like, he can't come anywhere close to responding what it is that I'm saying. So I said, "Can you explain what you mean by word games? I feel as though I'm being very simplistic in my questions. I'm not sure what part you think is a word game." He said, "Do you have a source on that?" "Source? A source? I need a source." "Sorry, I mean, I need a source that explicitly states your argument. This is just tangential to the discussion. No, you can't make inferences and observations from the sources you've gathered. Any additional comments from you must be a subset of the information from the sources you've gathered. You can't make normative statements from empirical evidence. Do you have a degree in that field, a college degree in that field? Then your arguments are invalid." This guy's lost his mind. My word games made him lose his mind. I feel bad now. I played too many word games, and now he's lost his mind.
3 days later.
Did Obama put together camps?
Even further
and
back than that, there's been.
Did he?
Yes.
Did
Yeah,
Obama
see?
put together that
Freaking
family
Baylor.
separation thing?
I knew it, dude. Baylor's in the chat saying the border camps were based. Dude, I pinned this dude
Jesus
so quickly.
Christ.
I pinned this dude so
Based.
freaking
Trolling.
quickly. He's not trolling. He's
Based.
stupid. He's really dumb. Like, he doesn't believe in, like, white privilege. Like, when we talk about, like, whiteness as in, like, white supremacy or something, he starts saying, like,
Based.
oh, you want to be marginalized? You want white people to be
There was-
marginalized? You hate your own race. Like, this is
There
the
was
stuff
an
that he's been saying.
18-year-old kid.
Well, I don't do the whole white privilege thing. I think that there are racists who exist. Period. I won't deny that, but I don't think that it's.
There was an
White privilege
18-year-old
has nothing
kid
to
in
do
an
with
ICE
races.
detainment
I don't think
cage
it's
on the
systematic
border.
like everyone wants to claim.
Here, go
on the
ahead, Kay,
border.
and I will get into this with him right after. I agree, DJ. It's normally a difficult conversation to have. So far, literally everybody who I've talked to about it has come out agreeing that it's that systemic racism and that white privilege are real. Having a right-wing perspective, I believe, makes a big difference. But normally they'll still say something like, but it doesn't matter, or, but we still have free will, or something like that, to where, like, they still don't care, but they can't deny at least that part, and that once that starts to sink in, like, it's all pretty simple from there on. Now, for the sake of my chat, for the sake of the race realist that is in my chat right now, can we have a
For his sake and his sake only.
can we have a conversation about systemic racism?
Maybe.
Sure. It's
I have
real.
to go to bed soon.
End
I
of
should have went to
story.
bed like 2 hours ago, but
All right. So, systemic racism
I should have
defined
6 hours ago.
like the definition is disproportionate outcome.
What's your Twitch?
It's tomfoolery PC, like podcast PC.
Is that all one word?
Yes. So the definition of systemic racism is disproportionate outcomes for a certain race that is brought on them by like uncontrollable systems, like something like government or culture or something like that. So it's not that like there are racist people out there purposely doing this. They're devious. They're trying to hurt the black people. It's more so that there are just things in place that just happen to hurt them more than others. So we look at something like simple like voter ID laws. Okay, black people are a lot less likely to be able to get. Just listen. They're a lot less likely to be able to get an ID than white people, disproportionately. So maybe I think it's like 20% of black people in inner cities are able to get an ID, whereas close to 95% of white people in all areas are able to get IDs. So now when you require an ID to vote, you are now disproportionately making it to where black people are less likely to be able to vote. Now you can say, hey, look, we can come up with other rules to like help them, right? Like we can come up with something to where like we make IDs free for some people, or like if you don't make enough money, or if you're not able to get a ride to the DMV, then like we'll arrange for you to get a ride. And those things are all true. The problem is that the states that have voter ID laws don't do any of those things. They don't help those people. They don't do anything to help them. They make sure that they are still not able to go vote. So that's one example.
Yeah. The solution obviously is to get rid of voter ID laws.
No, it's God. I don't think there's anything wrong with voter ID laws or anything racist about them. And to say that, I mean, to say that they're not getting that they're not able to get an ID, like because of some other kind of factor that's apparently racist is pretty absurd. Like, why would someone not be able to get an ID because of their money, because of not being able to get a ride? I don't know if that's.
Yeah, so
I mean,
like,
everybody that I know like has an ID, like black people included, like
why
inner city included. Like,
sure,
I don't understand how this is still
black people
a
are
talking
also
point.
disproportionately poor, though, meaning that they're less likely to be able to afford the ID. They also are much less likely to have a car, meaning they're less likely to be able to get transportation to go to the DMV and get that ID. So in two ways now, we have shown to where now it's harder for black people to vote in just two simple ways. And once we know that it's harder for them to vote, that's all that matters. We now know that we are making it harder for black people to vote, and we're not doing anything to correct that, which now makes it racist, right?
In Canada, when an election is coming up, I get mailed an election registration form. I fill it out. I hand it in. And on election day, I walk to my nearest poll, which is no less than a kilometer away. Usually it's just down the street. I walk in and show my driver's license, and I vote. I don't need a voter ID. It works just fine.
Yeah, currently we don't have problems with
there's
voter
no
fraud.
there's no good reason to have these restrictive voter ID laws in the States.
Yeah,
Elections work just fine without them.
Yeah,
and if they're causing a problem, just get rid of them.
Yeah, we currently don't have a problem with voter fraud. And so if we say, like, hey, we need to add more security by making people have IDs when they go vote. Like,
I mean,
logically,
that's not true either. We still have voter fraud. Like, that's an actual thing that exists.
We have
do we have like a widespread, massive issue? Probably not. But.
Yes, that's what I said. We don't.
Canada
have
has voter fraud too.
With voter fraud.
Right, but I mean, we had people that were arrested this election and last election, like for committing voter fraud and stuff like that. Like
a lot less this election than the last one, but yes.
Well, still, I mean, it's a thing. Like I don't think that requiring identification is racist. And I don't know. I mean, I would want to see, like, oh man, that's why I didn't want to. I would love to come back on and do this. Like,
okay, I'm happy to do it. I
would want to go through like all the data and not be just like winging this off the cuff. Like,
all right, here's a real simple one.
Because I have to look up and all this stuff on the fly.
Do you know about welfare incentivizing like black mothers to, or not just black mothers, but black women are disproportionately on welfare? So do you know about like welfare incentivizing them to not have a father in the household?
Yes, I know about that.
Okay, so we already know that black women are disproportionately on welfare. We know that kids who grow up in a single-parent household are more likely to go to prison, less likely to graduate high school, less likely to keep a stable job, more likely to commit numerous crimes. Like the list goes, more likely to have drug problems, and I think it's 4 times more likely to have more children. That once these kids grow up, they're more likely to have more children that grow up in single-parent households, meaning that they're just duplicating the amount of people who are now in this situation. Okay? The government runs welfare. They are the ones incentivizing these women not to have a second parent in the household. Now, we look at like black crime statistics, we look at, black drug usage, dropout rates, all of these things. They all correlate with this one thing, this one issue, right? This one issue has by itself pretty much torn down the entire American black community. And this is run by the government. And once they know, again, I'm going to say the same thing. Once they know the issue is there and they choose not to fix it, it is now even more racist. Like, once they know that there's a racist outcome and they choose not to fix that, there is now racist intent behind it. And it's been there for like 50 years.
I think they did change a lot of those laws, especially the welfare stuff, though, didn't they?
No, it's that specific.
Like as far as incentivizing the second parent to stay out of the home, like the father to stay out of the home and stuff like that.
No, so the way it works is like a person who's on welfare, they're normally going to make like a certain amount per month, right? And then like you get more per kid and things like that. So it's even incentivizing you to have kids. But once you have a second income within that household, it makes sense. Okay, you have another income, so you're going to make less. Like, that makes sense. But it does incentivize you to not have the second income within the household. So it's still there. It's still the same. It may seem logical, but it's also it also leads to racist outcomes.
Well, I know. Well, and I just don't know if every time that it leads to that there's a disparity between the races that it automatically means that this specific thing is the cause. I think
it's not one thing.
This
by
problem
itself.
is a lot deeper than that.
It's not one thing by itself. I mean, we can look at the fact that like there was a study that put out thousands and thousands of applications. Every single one of them was the same. Every business got 2 applications, one with a white sounding name like Jim or Bob, one with a black sounding name like LaQuisha or Jamarcus or something like that. Way more often than not, I think it was like 70% of the time the white person got the call back, the black name didn't. This was just showing an inherent bias just by looking at a name that sounds black. 70%. This is showing that like people.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that study, but I've never looked into the actual study.
It's a little old now. It's
as far
like
as like where it comes from and who they.
You don't need to look into it any further than knowing that little bit of information there. It's clearly a sign of racism. It's a clear, very clear indicator of racism.
I think the problem is a lot deeper than that. I think
it's
and that's not to say that I think everything is perfect and that we should leave everything the way it is as far as our government and our policies and those kind of things. Like, I think we could.
Baylor, you stupid freaking idiot. This is not too hard to understand. I started off with the definition of systemic racism at the very beginning. You can say, well, it applies to white people too, so it's not racist. We talked about racist outcomes. Racist outcomes. The outcome has to be disproportionate for black people. That's it. Just the outcome. It can apply to both white people and black people the same, but if the outcome is different for black people, then the policy is racist. That's how the law works. That's how systemic racism works. I talked about this at the very beginning. You didn't have an issue with the definition. You're like, oh, Jan, we all know the definition, man. Keep explaining. You didn't have an issue with the definition. So don't say stupid freaking stuff like this as if you don't understand what the definition was in the first place.
It's fundamentally oppressive.
Wait, what?
If the problem of racism is rooted in our culture, right, as you asserted,
I didn't say that it was racism in our culture necessarily. It's like the things that we promote to.
Baylor said, "Whine more, dude." Well done, man. You beat me. You got me. Facts and logic. Just whacked me over the head with your freaking facts and logic. I bow out. It's too much for me to handle.
Your academic career, like, try all the drugs and do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just.
Don't know what you're saying.
Well,
okay, well,
I mean, there's
pay attention to American music and movies and television, and you should know exactly what I'm talking about.
White people intake all of those American music and movies as well. I mean, white teenagers
and
are the biggest.
And our young people are getting in trouble at just as high rates, especially right now in the past couple of years.
They're not actually. They're way down.
Okay, well, I think there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on with the numbers too, because the small percentage of or this certain amount of numbers for 13% of our total population versus the enormous amount of whites is like that gets walled.
You guys have to look at him on the screen. I've got the chat pulled up right here, but yeah, he's on a different platform.
Like more widespread across the culture versus than there is maybe systemically, and you know what I'm saying? Like,
but all of these things that I'm talking about apply
state and per county make a difference too. Like,
that's true, but all of these
like certain magistrates and judges have problems.
So look at like the fact that across the entire country, black people are way more likely to get sentenced to longer time for the same exact crime that was committed by a white person. They can have the same background, the same priors, the same everything. The black person is going to get sentenced to longer time than the white person. Like this, and this has been consistent over the last 25 years. Okay, something like that applies systemically because once that person goes to jail, they're now having even more problems. Like they're now more likely to go back to jail. They're now associating with more criminals. They're now getting pushed into this box where now they have to be on probation. They're going to have trouble getting a job because they have a record. Like all of these things make it much worse for them.
Well, and I think our judicial system needs serious work, and as well as our just our whole criminal justice system does need a lot of work.
True.
But so I'll concede there. I mean, I think there's a lot that needs to be changed.
To say that one of the parts that needs to be changed is the systemic racist part?
I mean, I'm not going to say that there can't be things that we can change in this to the system, to our government that wouldn't help. I feel like the root problem is a lot deeper than that. Like, and I'm not going to deny that there is racism that exists, that there's racist people, but I feel like we're
not talking about racist people.
We're so much further away from. Yeah.
How much deeper than the system that we live under can you go?
Like I've just explained to you, maybe 4 or 5 different ways. Making, yeah. And you're saying, yes, we could fix some of these things, and I agree. Like there, some of these things are simple fixes. Some of them are pretty ingrained and really difficult.
Well, I mean, and something that gets brought up a lot every time. I get talking about this or hear people talking about this is the wealth disparity or between even though that there's a difference in the amount that they make, even with the same.
I don't know, chat. I'm going to take that as a win. He pretty much just admitted it. He doesn't want to say, yes, there's systemic racism. But if you heard the words he said, he pretty much said, yes, there's systemic racism.
Blacks never even take, they don't pursue those majors in when it comes to college. And there was a study that I have, I would have to find it, but it's so those people making these insane 6-figure plus number 7-figure jobs would pull up that, you know what I'm saying, if they were pursuing the high level jobs, like they're still pursuing college degrees that are getting them a lot of money, but they're not getting that 1% type job.
Yeah, but
does that make sense?
Yeah,
I would have to find the study. It was a really good article, but
they make on average like 20,000 more per year than somebody who didn't get a college degree. So, if you're
but there's certain. I just need to find the article, and that's what I was saying. I was like, oh man, like
you guys are tired. I know y'all want to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Let me ask you just one question real quick.
What? I'm not tired. It's only 6:21 in the morning.
Assuming that the things I said are true, like you want to do your own research, you might be able to find some things that I said that were wrong, or find some holes in them or something like that, right? Maybe find some reason for why you wouldn't believe what I said. But assuming what I have said is true, is systemic racism a real thing?
I mean, you're just saying it's systemic racism is real. So yeah, if we're assuming that what you're saying is true, then obviously yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
And for the record, yes, I do believe it's real too.
Okay.
Yeah, and the definition, I mean, by definition, I guess, based off of what you told me, then yeah, but I mean, I've done this before, and I would have to go back and find all my little links, and
yeah,
it's fun, but
I did it for a long time as well, and eventually I just realized I was wrong and switched sides.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, guys.
Who knows? Maybe I'll switch too. Who knows?
I appreciate the chat.
I need to fall unconscious now.
All right. Nacho, if you want to have this conversation in more detail, or you find some issues with something I said, I will be happy to have you back on, and we can talk it out.
Yeah, we could probably do something this week because I'm quarantining. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I had
COVID. So I'll be out and about when I can. I was pretty exhausted all day today, and I just felt like getting on. So, and then I spent way longer than I planned on being on here. So,
true. All right. Well,
but it was fun.
Night. I'll see you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, we're gonna take the W there, right? Taking the W. I am currently streaming on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah, you can't see it in the YouTube chat. You can just see it on the screen right here. There's words there. KO said, look, the first step to solving a problem is admitting you have a problem. True. I guess I don't even need him to admit that he has a problem. I just need him to see that there's that. Okay, so this was my biggest problem. When it came to systemic racism, and I was listening to people like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and stuff like that, every time they talked about systemic racism, they would say things like it's already been disproven a million times over. And when they would define it, they would say, like, the definition of systemic racism is history has consequences. They would say, like, that's literally the whole definition of systemic racism is history has consequences. Or it's that racist people, are making racist systems. So that it was one of those two every time. They're like, it's either racist people are making racist systems, or history has consequences. And depending on which leftist you talk to, they'll give you a different definition. Turns out, both of them are wrong. Both of those definitions are bullcrap. Neither one of them are correct. It just means that there's disproportionate outcomes. Like, that's... It means that through government or through culture, there are disproportionate outcomes for minorities, and therefore we have to try to do things to correct them. All right, let's see.